Up until you're about 22, your whole life has just been a very distinct and clear path. You go to school every day, you apply to colleges, you take SATs, you know exactly the steps that you need to take to be a reasonably successful person. And then you go to college, you have fun, you learn, you get your degree, you exit into the world, and you go from being a senior in college, which feels like, wow, I've really made it, I've done it, to realizing you're like an infant. Welcome back, I'm Tedward, and welcome back to the Bentley Mulsanne Speed. Today, I want to talk about not wasting your 20s. Oh, that sounds so good. Now, I'm not going to give you some bizarro self-help pyramid scheme style video to tell you, oh, if you just invest in this Forex thing and buy crypto and buy... No. I am the complete opposite of that. I am a skeptic, and I'm here to tell you that if you feel like you've wasted time, if you feel like you don't have a direction, it's okay. It's normal. We're going to get through this. And it's never too late to start figuring out what you're going to do, because myself included had no idea what I was going to be doing. And I may be doing something completely different in 10 years, but right now I'm happy and I figured some stuff out, and I want to share a little bit of that wisdom with you and maybe put your mind at ease if you feel like you've missed the boat on something or it's too late to start over. First, let's get out and just take a look at this car because it is so stunning. It's so subtle. It's gorgeous. We've got the soft closed doors. It's covered in pollen here in New England right now in June, the first day of June. The pollen is coming out of the trees like crazy. The car gets parked outside for 2 or 3 hours and it is essentially yellow. I'm thrilled that it's not white, but just take a look at this thing. The wheelbase is outrageous, and this isn't even the extended wheelbase version. And like I said, if you're new to the channel and this is the first time you're watching me, no, I'm not trying to sell you that if you listen to this video, you're gonna get this Bentley. But what I'm saying is you don't have to have all the answers right now, but sometimes knowing that is half the battle. So let's take a little ride and talk about how you can live a fulfilling life in your 20s that doesn't set you up for financial and emotional ruin down the line. The first thing that you need to know is that your 20s doesn't have to be set in a corporate office climbing the ladder to where you're eventually going to die in your 60s. Your 20s should be used to figure out what you want to do. And unfortunately, especially in America, we're put in a really weird position when we're teenagers because we're forced to just apply to colleges when we're like 16, 17 years old, go to a college that we think we like based on almost nothing, because nobody teaches you that college is really setting you up for your career. They're just like, follow your dreams, follow your passion. Well, some people's dreams and passions pay a lot better than other people's dreams and passions, and that can suck if you feel like you've just put in all this time and effort into a college degree, and maybe you came out with an English degree while someone else who was just maybe good at math got an actuarial degree or an engineering degree, and they walk out of college with a pretty healthy salary right off the bat, and you're like, man, I put a lot of effort into my college degree too, and I got nowhere. The same goes though for the folks who got the actuarial or engineering degree. They might not actually like being in that career. I mean, that certainly happened to me. I got a mechanical engineering degree and I didn't really want to be an engineer, so I kind of weaseled my way into project management and then realized I hated that. It got old. I didn't want to do it. So it didn't mean that I wasted my 20s because I got a degree that I eventually wasn't really necessarily using. It actually gave me a good decade of work experience to figure out where I wanted to be and what I wanted to do. The difference though is figuring out how to do what you want to do once you know what you like. Because if you figure out that you hate what you do but you don't know what you like to do, then you're screwed. That's a very bad relationship to have with yourself when you're like, wow, I worked all these years to get myself into a reasonable paying job, or maybe not even a reasonable paying job that I don't like, and I still don't know what I like. And this is what I mean when I say don't waste your 20s. Use your 20s to experiment. Use your 20s to take some risks because you've got time. Contrary to what everyone in their 20s believes, you don't die at 30. Barring getting hit by a bus or an unfortunate illness or something, chances are you're going to live for a lot longer than you think you are when you're 20 years old. Ooh, that's good torque. It's so low revving. It only revs to like 4,500 RPM. So at like $3,000, you are wide open, peak torque and peak boost. This thing is a monster. 811 pound-feet of torque. My whole life, in high school, even in college, I always felt different and weird, not just because I was different and weird, but because a lot of people around me seem to have it all figured out. They seem to know exactly what they wanted. In high school, they knew which college they wanted to go to. They knew which major they wanted to major in. They knew what career they were looking for. And I didn't. I almost kind of like faked it. I was like, okay, well, I think I'll do this. And I didn't know enough about it. And comparing yourself to other people is never going to be the answer. You're always going to know people, have friends, have family, probably a sibling, who does better than you, who is exceptional in what they do, who has the easiest talking points at the family parties. You know, oh, well, like my sister, she's a cardiologist, right? I film cars on YouTube. She helps like babies with congenital heart defects, okay? I lose that competition. You know what I mean? Like, and she's very proud of me, but at the end of the day, like, if we're having that discussion with our family and someone's going like, oh, and how are things going? Like, I come from a family where a lot of my dad's side, they're very education driven. They like a distinct path. They like to know that you're okay, but they like to know that you're okay in a trajectory that's okay with them. My trajectory is a little scary to them because they've never seen anything like it. I've never seen anything like it. But the problem is, if you're happy with where you're going or you're open to new opportunities, it's okay. So really the big goal in your 20s is not to just have everything planned out and know what to do. It's just to make sure you're not making such huge mistakes that they're irreversible in your 30s or 40s. You don't want to be getting DUIs. You don't want to be putting yourself in massive credit card debt. For the love of God, do not spend money on credit cards that you cannot pay off. That will really ruin your life. You know, you may be like dealing with massive student debt. That's always a tricky thing, but pay it down. Do what you need to do to get your finances in order and save some cash. Make sure that you're saving that cash and putting money away for your future. One way I see people really waste their 20s is that they think their actions don't have consequences. And if you're just kind of a jerk and you're getting arrested or you're burning through cash or you're getting into a ton of debt, like, those things do have consequences. Those will carry out, and you will have to live with those consequences for a really long time. So while I'm telling you to like go have fun with your friends and do stuff, like, don't sweat the small stuff. Like, you know, go have a cocktail with somebody, go on some dates, do the thing, but like, don't be a monster. And there's just such a big difference between having a good time and going way too far because you're playing that you only live once life. Like, yeah, you only live once, but I bet you live longer than you think you will. CRZ, yes! Looking good. Those are underappreciated and kind of weird. So that's the thing. I want you to feel like you can make changes in your life. So many people in their 20s, the second they get out of college, they're either super gung-ho about their career and they're thrilled about it, or it starts that way and they realize, like, this isn't what I signed up for. This isn't what I wanted, but now I'm locked in. Like, I assure you, you're not locked in. You can make big changes in your life. You just have to know what you want, because what you don't want to do is you don't want to be chasing other goals that aren't going to make you happy. That's when you do start running out of time. So it's okay if you're in a position when you're in your 20s or 30s and you're just like not really vibing, you're not happy, you don't want where you're at, you don't want the future that's provided by where you're at. You know, if you look up the chain of command at your company and you're like, God, I don't even want to be a director or a VP or an executive, like, well, then what are you working toward? You know, are you trying to climb that ladder, or is that even where you want to go? If you don't want that, start digging deeper into yourself and start exploring things. Use your personal time to find out what you love, to spend time doing what you love to do. And don't let your depression get the better of you, because the second you start feeling defeated about, well, this is where I am, I can't go anywhere, I guess I'll just like buckle in and go along for the ride, like, you are giving up. And if you give up, no one's going to bring you out of it. You know, you've really, the more depressed you are, the more effort you have to put in to jumping out of it. For me, it's like running. I like to run. I don't consider myself an athlete, but like if I don't run for a few months and then I start running again, it feels like I've never run in my life. It's exhausting. I'm like, oh God, like I need to get back in shape. Depression's the same way. Like if you've been so depressed and you just can't seem to get out of the funk, like it does take a significant amount of effort to bring yourself back to life, to bring yourself back. But like you can always come back from something. You can always make it back. You can always make the best of it. And do yourself a favor. Gauge your own success by your own metrics. Freight train. You've got to push yourself little by little. And if I'm going to bring back the running analogy, it's like if you've never run in your life, a mile is pretty damn good. Like, sure, you might have friends who run marathons and multiple marathons a year at that, but like, don't belittle your mile. Your mile matters, damn it. Get that mile and then double it and then double it again. You've got it in you. You just have to find it. And in your 20s, you've wasted your 20s if you've just let life happen to you. If you take some risks, take some chances, don't do anything stupid or dangerous, but like just recognize you can rebound from most things in your 20s. But if you recognize that you're probably going to live longer than 30 and you want to be a happy person, figure out what makes you happy, because the rest of your life is so much longer than where you're at. It always feels like you've lived your whole life and now you're just like, now we've arrived. It's like you've barely arrived. Don't do it, truck. Thank you. Ooh, 986. Oh, it's a 996. Oh, what a cutie. That's like the one from Cars. And if you're a little bit older, you're like almost 30 or you're in your 30s, it's also not too late. It's never too late to like figure out what to do. There's always other jobs. There's always other sources of income. There's always other activities you could be doing. There's also other people you could be doing those activities with. Some of you guys have some really toxic friend groups that don't even make you feel good about yourself. Like, just get out of it, man. Do things that make you happy and healthy and stick to those things and you'll be all right. Thank you so much for watching, liking, commenting, and subscribing. Don't forget to respect the drive. And in this case, respect yourself, plan for your future, and give yourself a little credit. You're working really hard. I gotta go park up this Bentley. I'll see you in the next one. Maybe it'll be mine someday. Probably not. Who knew that I could make a career driving Bentleys on YouTube? What a wild thing that in my wildest dreams, I never thought this would be a way to make money, a way to support myself, a way to actually build some sort of career. And if I'm honest, like, of course I'm always building this, but I don't always know where it's going, and I'm okay with that. There's always an opportunity that I'm like unaware of that I didn't know would present itself to me.